The bright morning sun poured through the glass walls of the city's largest children's hospital, but no one noticed the man sitting quietly in the waiting area with a little girl sleeping against his shoulder. His tailored navy suit, expensive watch, and polished shoes made him look like someone who belonged in a boardroom, not in a crowded pediatric clinic. Across from him sat a young woman with gentle eyes, holding a small backpack decorated with colorful butterflies while comforting the frightened little girl whenever she stirred in her sleep. Nurses smiled as they walked past. Parents whispered to one another. Everyone naturally assumed they were a loving couple caring for their daughter together. Neither of them corrected the misunderstanding. What no one knew was that the wealthy CEO had spent years hiding behind success after losing everything that mattered, while the single father beside him had forgotten what hope even felt like. And before that ordinary morning was over, one simple misunderstanding would begin changing all three of their lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can heal broken hearts and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Vault so you never miss another heartwarming story. Every weekday morning, Rowan Mercer followed the same routine. He woke before sunrise, prepared breakfast, braided his 6-year-old daughter Ivy's hair after watching dozens of online tutorials, packed her lunch, and walked her to school before heading to the towering headquarters of Mercer Dynamics, one of the country's fastest-growing technology companies. Newspapers called him a visionary CEO who transformed struggling businesses into billion-dollar success stories. Financial magazines admired his discipline, leadership, and relentless work ethic. Employees respected him, though many believed he cared more about quarterly reports than personal relationships. None of them knew that every evening, after leaving the office, Rowan became nothing more than a tired father trying his best to raise the only person he had left in the world. 3 years earlier, a devastating car accident had taken Ivy's mother only weeks after Ivy's 3rd birthday. Rowan buried his grief beneath endless work because standing still meant remembering every promise he had failed to keep. The board praised his dedication, investors applauded his results, but every award sitting inside his office felt painfully empty compared to the tiny drawings Ivy proudly taped onto their refrigerator each week. On that same morning, not far from the hospital entrance, Elias Bennett rushed across the parking lot carrying his sleepy 4-year-old son, Milo. Life had not been kind to Elias. His wife had walked away 2 years before, unable to handle mounting debt and endless financial pressure. She disappeared without looking back, leaving Elias to balance 2 part-time jobs while raising Milo alone. Every paycheck disappeared into rent, groceries, and medical bills after doctors discovered Milo had a heart condition requiring regular hospital visits. Elias never complained. He simply kept moving because his little boy deserved a father who never gave up. That morning, however, everything seemed determined to go wrong. His aging bicycle had broken halfway to the bus stop, making them late for an important appointment. Milo's favorite stuffed bear had fallen into a puddle, leaving the little boy in tears. By the time they reached the hospital, Elias was exhausted before the day had even truly begun. Inside the waiting room, there were no empty seats except one beside Rowan and Ivy. Elias apologized politely as he sat down with Milo. The children noticed each other almost immediately. Ivy smiled first. Within minutes they were quietly coloring together from the crayons Ivy carried everywhere. Watching them laugh felt strangely comforting to both fathers. Just then, a nurse approached with a warm smile. She glanced at Rowan, then at Elias, before looking affectionately at the 2 children playing side by side. She complimented them on raising such sweet kids together and remarked that it was wonderful seeing parents support each other during difficult hospital visits. Rowan looked surprised. Elias almost laughed. For a brief second both men considered explaining the misunderstanding. Instead, they exchanged awkward smiles and simply thanked the nurse. Neither realized that a young volunteer named Serena Hart had overheard everything. Serena spent every Tuesday volunteering at the Children's Hospital before heading to her job as an elementary school art teacher. She believed every child deserved encouragement, especially those spending more time in hospital rooms than playgrounds. Watching Rowan gently fix Ivy's jacket while Elias carefully tied Milo's shoelaces made her heart smile. She assumed they were partners navigating life's challenges together. More importantly, she admired how naturally they cared for the children before themselves. Throughout the morning Serena kept crossing paths with them. She brought extra coloring books, helped entertain the children during long waiting periods, and quietly offered coffee to both exhausted fathers. Rowan noticed her kindness first. Elias noticed how easily Milo laughed whenever Serena entered the room. The hospital suddenly felt a little less frightening. Later that afternoon the misunderstanding grew larger. A photographer from a local charity arrived to document families participating in a fundraising campaign supporting pediatric patients. Seeing Rowan, Elias, Serena, Ivy, and Milo sitting together, she eagerly asked whether they would mind posing for a quick photograph celebrating family resilience. Before anyone could explain, Ivy happily grabbed Serena's hand while Milo reached for Rowan's. The children were smiling too brightly to disappoint. The camera clicked. It lasted only seconds. Yet somehow that single photograph captured something none of them expected. Not perfection. Not romance. But peace. For the first time in years, Rowan saw himself smiling without forcing it. Elias noticed that Milo looked healthier simply because he was laughing. Serena saw two fathers carrying impossible burdens without asking anyone for sympathy. The charity later posted the photograph online with a simple caption celebrating families supporting children through difficult times. Within hours, thousands of people shared it. Employees at Mercer Dynamics recognized their CEO immediately. Social media filled with comments praising the apparently loving family. Investors admired Rowan's humble lifestyle. News outlets requested interviews about balancing business leadership and fatherhood. The misunderstanding had suddenly become impossible to ignore. Rowan's communications team urged him to release a correction immediately. They feared inaccurate media stories could damage his public image. Yet as Rowan looked again at the photograph, he noticed something unexpected. Ivy looked happier than she had in months. There was genuine warmth surrounding everyone in the picture. For reasons he couldn't fully explain, he delayed correcting the story. Meanwhile, Serena discovered the truth completely by accident after meeting Elias during another hospital visit. She learned they had met only that morning. She realized Rowan was one of the country's most successful CEOs while Elias worked endlessly simply to keep food on the table. Embarrassed by her assumption, Serena apologized repeatedly. Instead of laughing, Rowan simply smiled. Sometimes, he admitted, people only see what kindness looks like, and maybe that isn't such a terrible mistake. Those words stayed with Serena long after they left. Weeks passed. Hospital visits continued. The strange friendship deepened naturally. Rowan quietly arranged flexible work schedules allowing himself more time with Ivy. Elias found encouragement simply knowing someone understood the challenges of single parenthood. Serena continued volunteering, becoming a familiar face both children eagerly searched for every visit. Eventually Rowan discovered that Milo's surgery had been delayed because Elias couldn't afford several expenses insurance refused to cover. Without telling anyone, Rowan contacted the hospital foundation anonymously and paid every remaining bill. Elias never learned who had done it. He simply cried quietly after hearing the news. For the first time in years, someone had helped without expecting recognition. Around the same time, Rowan visited Ivy's school for a family appreciation event. Most children arrived with two parents. Ivy arrived holding only her father's hand. Though she smiled bravely, Rowan noticed the sadness hidden behind her cheerful face. When the teacher invited family volunteers to help organize games outside, Serena unexpectedly appeared with art supplies for the children. Without hesitation she spent the afternoon painting faces, organizing activities, and making every child, including Ivy and Milo, feel important. Watching from across the playground, Rowan finally understood something success had never taught him. A family isn't created by appearances. It is built through presence. Through kindness. Through showing up again and again when someone needs you. Months later, Mercer Dynamics launched a nationwide employee initiative providing additional support for single parents, flexible schedules, childcare assistance, and medical leave benefits. During the company's annual conference, Rowan spoke honestly for the first time about loneliness, grief, and how unexpected acts of kindness had transformed his understanding of leadership. He never mentioned Serena or Elias by name. He simply thanked the people who choose compassion even when no one is watching. His speech went viral because it felt real. Not polished. Not rehearsed. Just human. As for Elias, he eventually found stable employment through one of Mercer Dynamics' community outreach programs. More importantly, Milo's successful surgery allowed him to finally run across playgrounds without struggling for breath. The greatest miracle, however, wasn't financial success or public recognition. It was the ordinary weekends that followed. Picnics in the park. School concerts. Hospital checkups that slowly became less frequent. Birthday celebrations filled with laughter instead of worry. People still occasionally assumed Rowan and Serena were together whenever they appeared with the children. This time neither of them rushed to explain. Some misunderstandings were born from love rather than judgment, and they had learned not every assumption needed immediate correction. What mattered was that Ivy no longer felt alone. Milo finally believed tomorrow would be better than yesterday. Elias discovered asking for help wasn't weakness. Serena proved that simple kindness could quietly rewrite someone's future. And Rowan finally understood that the richest person in the room isn't the one with the biggest company. It's the one surrounded by people who genuinely care. Before we reach the end of this story, we'd love to hear from you. Please comment with the words, "Kindness always wins," if you believe one act of compassion can completely change someone's life. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of someone special, or gave you hope that kindness still exists in today's world, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to Kindness Vault. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that inspire compassion, healing, and hope. As the golden afternoon sunlight stretched across the playground where Ivy and Milo chased each other with endless laughter, Rowan looked around and realized life had quietly answered the prayer he had never been brave enough to speak aloud. The world had mistaken strangers for a family on an ordinary morning, but perhaps the world had seen something they themselves could not see yet. Sometimes love does not begin with grand promises or perfect timing. Sometimes it begins with a simple decision not to correct a misunderstanding because, deep inside, everyone longs to belong somewhere. And in the end, it wasn't the titles, the money, or the assumptions that changed their lives. It was kindness offered without conditions, hope shared without expectations, and hearts willing to make room for one another. That is how ordinary mornings become unforgettable miracles, and that is how broken lives slowly become whole again.